Hi there, my name is Jodi Holmes and I am a certified professional dog trainer. I'm going to be doing a video series for basic training, and I wanted to just give you a little bit of a background about myself and how I got involved in training dogs, and also my mission in dog training, what I feel is important. And also I will be talking about my methods and about dog psychology. So this is just the introduction video before I begin my basic training video series. So first of all, my background is I was raised on a horse farm where we showed horses internationally, and from the time I can remember, before I can remember actually, we had anywhere from 15 to 25 horses at a time, and it was a big part of my life. Growing up with them, I learned a lot about how you needed to be around them in order to get them to respect you, and in order to also stay safe while being around them. So I got into dog training about 10 years ago. I was working at a corporate pet store, and they needed a dog trainer, and they knew that I had experience in training horses, and so they figured that it would be an easy transition, and it was. It may seem strange because they're different species, different commands that you give them, but the training in essence is all very much the same. Like the basic fundamentals, be consistent, follow through, those kind of things are very much similar in training any animal. My mission and the reason why I train dogs is, over the years that I have had experience in giving dog training classes, I've ran into several people who needed help with their dogs beyond just puppy training. And I found a basic flaw in what was going on with the bond between the dogs and their humans. And there's a lot of different reasons, but mainly it would boil down to the misunderstanding that people had about the way that dogs work, the way that they think, the way that they perceive the world. Don't get me wrong, because this is something that I feel is not due to negligence or ill intent. I think that people have very good intentions when it comes to their dogs, and they want what's best for them. But the problem lies in their misunderstanding or lack of education regarding a dog's psychology and what they need as a species. I'm sure you feel the same as me when you say that your dog is a family member. My dogs are very much a part of my family. They are a member of my family, and I treat them as such. But it's important, I can't stress enough, to keep in mind that even though they are part of the family and they do a lot of things that may seem very human-like, they are not human, and we need to respect and understand their mode of thinking and perceiving the world in order to give them the best quality of life that we can, as well as increase our bonding experience with them while we have them. I believe that there's 4 things that a dog needs in order to be healthy psychologically and basically balanced mentally. First thing I want to stress that they need is leadership. Now, a dog needs a good pack leader, and the reason for that is, from the time they're born, their DNA, their instincts tells them to follow a leader. Some dogs will determine that the dogs in the pack that exist already are not suitable pack leaders, and they will assume that role instead. And that's what I see in many cases with people, where the dog doesn't respect their humans to the degree of believing that they are good, sound pack leaders, that they can make good decisions in situations. So the dog will assume the role as pack leader, which causes all sorts of problems. So some issues that you'll see with a dog that thinks that's trying to be pack leader, ruling your life, would be just rude behavior, like lack of manners, in your face, jumping on you, pulling on the leash, running out the door in front of you. It feels like very much rude, space-taking behaviors. So The pack leader needs to let the dog know what's allowed and what isn't allowed, and they'll actually look to you for cues or for commands or for advice, basically, on any given situation. So the second thing is darn near as important as the first, and it's exercise. One of the issues that I see that people, that I come across a lot, is that people think that it's okay for them to decide how much exercise is adequate exercise for their dog. Like if I say your dog needs more exercise, they say, well, my dog gets plenty of exercise. I take her on a 2-mile walk every day, or something of that nature. And unfortunately, we don't get to determine what is adequate exercise for our dogs. It is up to them to decide what is adequate exercise for them. I can tell by a dog's behavior whether or not they're having enough exercise, or at least stimulation. So a big fenced yard, that's awesome to have for a dog. It's really a great thing to have. But it is like a big kennel for a dog. So if you could imagine going out in your fenced yard without your cell phone or anybody else around you for an hour or two, after a short amount of time, you're going to start being like, ugh. You're going to get like bored. You're going to have the whole place memorized, and you'll start to very quickly see why a dog might start to destroy things, or dig holes, or bark at everything, or bark at nothing, or just start aggressive behavior, charging the fence whenever somebody walks by. They are bored out of their minds. So with people, when we're bored, we do something productive. If we have all this energy and we're bored, we can't expel it. We mow the lawn, or we do taxes, or we do laundry, or something of the sort. But with dogs, they do destructive things or neurotic things. They will start to dig, chew things up, destroy. They'll just be destructive. Or they will start neurotic behavior, such as tail chasing or barking at things that aren't there, or they might become aggressive because they see something walking on the other side of the fence and they have nothing else to do, and it becomes a habit for them, a default mode for them. If you have another dog in the yard, that's good to have a friend for a dog, but it can also just cause issues where they decide to be a team and gang up on things and like chase things on the other side of the fence, or influence each other through just being around each other. So off leash, off the property, regular exercise is what I recommend. I do a ton of off leash hikes where we go off the property out into the woods, and people join me. I've had up to 16 dogs off leash, and it is, once your dog comes when they're called, then you're going to get so much out of these kind of outings. If we were to keep our dogs right next to us on a leash every single time they're outside of the yard or off the property, and expect them to get the energy out that they need to get out, it's crazy, because dogs have much more energy or endurance or physical needs that they need to have met more than people do. Dogs' DNA tells them to roam up to 20 miles a day with a pack of other dogs, and that is what they want to do. And if they don't get that energy out, they'll find a way to get it out. So we got leadership number 1, exercise number 2. Now the next one is discipline. Discipline does not mean hitting your dog or abusing your dog. It means rules, boundaries, limitations, and dogs crave that kind of stuff. They aren't going to hold a grudge against you because you say that they can't come in the kitchen while you're cooking, or they're not allowed to jump on the couch, or they need to wait before you walk through the door. Dogs tend to like to learn those kind of things, and it stimulates them mentally, and it keeps them healthy. Just kind of like a kid that, if the parents don't ever teach them anything, when somebody new comes over and tries to show them something, they're eager to learn. Dogs tend to like to learn. They're not going to hold a grudge against you for teaching them what the rules are and boundaries are within your pack or your household. So leadership, exercise, discipline, and the last one is affection or love. Generally, when I ask people that question, what would you say are the top 4 things that a dog needs to be healthy psychologically? The first thing that I hear most commonly is love. And Don't get me wrong, dogs need to have affection given to them, and they need to be loved and adored, and all of those things. It's important. But it is the least important part of the 4 things a dog needs in order for them to be healthy. Now, I realize this might be hard to wrap your mind around because they feel like humans, and humans need love, and they love to give love and all that. But for a dog, it is least important. So when you give it, when a human pets a dog and gives them affection, it's therapeutic. It's been proven scientifically for the human to be therapeutic, to have an animal to pet, to love, to give affection to. And so it's good for the human, very good for the human, and it is good for the dog unless it is given at the wrong times and the wrong amounts. So a lot of times I see a dog that is anything other than calm, submissive, whether it be intense, aggressive, acting fearful, excited, just anything other than calm, and people are petting them to try to calm them down. It's okay, it's okay. And really, for a dog, in the way that their brain is wired and their makeup works, is that you're actually encouraging that behavior and rewarding that mindset, which is the last thing we want to do. We don't want to say, it's okay to be afraid, continue to be afraid, because it makes it worse. A dog wants to be picked up and held because it's insecure. You don't want to pick it up and hold it because that just encourages, it rewards that mindset. When a dog needs to be able to be, it's normal for a dog to be independent on the ground, confident, but following you, but not freaking out. It's not normal for a dog to be fearful of other dogs or fearful of given situations. They should trust you and follow you through the situation. So that's what you would need to do. Instead of giving affection, you want to be that strong, confident pack leader. Just say, come on, let's go. Just keep on getting them through the situation. And then they'll trust you more, and they'll build confidence because of that. If you go and you adopt a dog from a pound, say, and they've had a rough life, and you know that because they were either neglected or abused, or they were hit by a car or malnourished, whatever the situation was, and you pick up the dog and you know the history, and so whenever they're afraid of men or whatever the situation might be, you immediately feel sorry for them, and you allow them to continue to be afraid of men, even though it's unallowing their healthy state to come back and for them to come back into balance. Dogs live in the moment. Sure, they remember things that have happened from the past that have caused them to be affected in the present, but they will bounce back and move on very quickly. They tend to want to be in a balanced state, so once they get there, it's much easier to keep them there. So don't feel sorry. Just help them get over their issue. You just really don't want to encourage any behavior other than calm, submissive, confident. We've got leadership, exercise, discipline, affection. Those are the 4 top things that a dog needs to be balanced, healthy, psychologically. So now I want to explain a few of my methods. And what I found to be true is that there's a lot of different dog training companies or places that say that they only do positive reinforcement. And if you tell your dog no, that's negative reinforcement. So I'm going to be honest, there will be negative reinforcement in the methods that I use. What we want to do is we want to build habits. This is the best way of explaining it. You know how a dog may have a bad habit of, say, jumping up on people. She's not doing it consciously. She's just what she's always done. She has a habit of doing it. She does it on autopilot. It's just something that she's done. So dogs can build bad habits very quickly, and the good news about that is we can also build good habits just as quickly. All it takes is, like if we're doing positive reinforcement using lure and reward, what that means is I'm using a treat or something that the dog is paying attention to that they want, like a ball or a stick or whatever they desire, but it's usually a treat of some sort. And people get concerned because they think, well, do I have to give my dog treats every time I want them to do something for the rest of their life? Oh, it seems like such a pain. And actually, the answer is no, you do not have to, but you do need to be consistent with that for a while until that behavior has become a habit. to where you call your dog and they come to you without even thinking about it. They just do it on autopilot. It's a conditioned response. They hear the sound of their name and they come to it because there's always been a positive reward once they do that. And if you're consistent enough with it, pretty soon, depending on the dog, it could take weeks, it could take months, it could take a year, but they will learn that that's a habit. Some dogs, it will take more than just positive reinforcement to get them to do a behavior such as come when called consistently. Sometimes they will find that they get distracted by something else and there's nothing you can do, no matter how positive you are, to get them to decide to come to you instead of focusing on whatever is distracting them. So there would be a consequence if they chose to not listen to you and not come to you. So the treats are important, and it's the easiest and quickest way to teach people how to train their dogs. That is the easiest way for you to learn how to train your dog to either stop behaviors or to begin new behaviors that you enjoy or would prefer. Okay, so I've given you a little bit of a rundown of my background, dog psychology, what dogs need to be healthy psychologically, my methods, and why I do dog training. So I'm going to be starting the video training series now with a dog named Finders Keepers. She's a miniature Australian Shepherd, and she is 8 weeks old. So she's going to be my new training subject and will be a lot of fun, I'm sure. So I hope to see that you guys are liking and following my videos, and thank you for listening to this introduction.